All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today we are diving deep into a celestial mystery that is, well, basically as old as we are comets. For as long as humans have been looking up at the night sky, these strange, ghostly visitors have been streaking by, and they've always made us wonder, what are they trying to tell us? Think about it. For thousands and thousands of years, we've seen these broom stars as messages, right? Omens about our future. But here's a thought. What if we've got the whole thing backwards? What if the real story isn't about what these comets mean for us, but about what they've been seeing in us this entire time? You see, for most of human history, a comet showing up was never just some cool astronomical event. No way. It was a message, a warning. It was like a giant proclamation written across the heavens. And it almost always meant that big change was on the way. I mean, just look at the history. The Romans were convinced they were signs of violence and death. In medieval England, people blamed Halley's Comet for the plague. The superstitions got so intense that in the 15th century, Pope Calixtus III, he actually tried to excommunicate a comet. Yeah, like it was some kind of cosmic heretic. It didn't matter if you were part of a giant empire or a small tribe, the message was always the same. A comet means the world is about to get turned upside down. And of course, no celestial messenger has ever been more famous, or frankly more feared, than Halley's Comet. It's kind of the most reliable of these cosmic omens, right? Shows up like clockwork every 76 years. And as you're about to see, its timing over the centuries has been, well, let's just say it's been impeccable. The coincidences here are just staggering. In 451, it shows up right as Attila the Hun is defeated. Fast forward to 837, a Holy Roman Emperor sees it and is absolutely certain it's there to announce his death. Then you have 1066, probably the most famous one, where it hangs over England right before the Battle of Hastings changes everything. And then get this, in 1222, Genghis Khan sees it, but he doesn't see doom. He sees a green light from heaven, inspiring him to push his armies west. It's just an incredible pattern of history-making moments. And that 1066 appearance, it wasn't just some minor detail people talked about. It was so central to the whole story that it was literally stitched into the Bayeux Tapestry, the epic comic strip of the entire conquest. Right there, you can see the English court pointing up at the sky, absolutely terrified, convinced that this star with a fiery tail was a divine judgment on their king. And it wasn't just Halley's. The record is full of this stuff. You had medieval comets linked to the deaths of saints and the failure of revolts. Even the incredible comet Ikiyaseki in 1965, while not seen as a disaster omen, still marked a huge shift by sparking a whole new wave of scientific interest around the world. For centuries, the pattern seemed totally undeniable. When a comet shows up, something big happens down here on Earth. So, okay, we've got thousands of years of history all pointing to the same thing. Comets are harbingers of change. They're omens. But what if that entire history, everything we just went through, is based on one giant, fundamental misunderstanding? We're about to dive into a theory that takes every single one of those facts and just flips it on its head. The theory itself is actually pretty simple, but it is also completely chilling. What if these weren't random chunks of ice and rock hurtling through space? What if they were ships, alien observation vessels, on a very long and patient mission to watch us? This is the absolute core of the observer's theory. Every single comet sighting we've talked about wasn't random, it was a planned visit. Their periodic returns, like Halley's 76-year cycle, that's not an orbit. That's a schedule. It's a recurring appointment on the calendar to check in on our progress, to monitor our wars, our technology, and maybe our potential to just completely destroy ourselves. And this just reframes everything. From this point of view, the so-called comet of 1066 wasn't a bad omen for King Harold at all. It was an alien vessel making a really detailed assessment of human military tech at a major historical turning point. They weren't sending a message, they were collecting data. And the same exact logic applies to Genghis Khan. He didn't see a sign telling him to go conquer. Nope. The observers saw him. They were there documenting humanity's capacity for highly organized, large-scale aggression. A pretty crucial data point if you're another species trying to figure out how much of a threat we are. And what about Comet Ikiyaseki in 1965? That thing was so bright you could see it in broad daylight. Was that just a natural phenomenon? Or was it a deliberate, close-range scan of Earth right in the middle of the nuclear age? I mean, what a perfect way to check out our new atmospheric compositions and all our fancy technological signatures.
And then there's the Great Comet of 1811. It was visible for an incredible 17 months. 17 months! In this theory, that is not a flyby. That is a long-term surveillance mission, parked right there in our skies to watch one of the most transformative periods in our history, the Napoleonic Wars and the birth of the Industrial Revolution.
Okay, so if this was a mission, what was the actual plan? Well, the theory suggests it wasn't random at all. It was a structured, four-phase intelligence operation that has been going on for millennia.
So here's how it supposedly unfolds. Stage 1. The regular check-ins. You send the big ships, the Halleys of the fleet, to monitor major historical shifts. Stage 2. Deeper probes. You deploy smaller craft, your IKEA Sekis, for close-range data scans. Stage 3. Long-term surveillance. You park a ship for an extended stay to watch critical eras like the Industrial Revolution. And finally, Stage 4. Once you have enough data, you send the signal. The signal that it's time to act.
And that is what brings this whole wild theory crashing right into our present. Because if the first three phases have been completed over the last couple thousand years, then we have to ask ourselves, are we living in phase 4 right now? And this is where it all comes together. According to the theory, a recent, very secretive rocket launch wasn't a human project at all. It was the signal. The beacon has been lit. After thousands of years of observation, after seeing our wars, our progress, and our current planetary crises, they've decided the experiment is over. And their goal isn't just to blow everything up, it's reclamation. Based on all that data they've gathered, they've concluded we just can't manage this planet on our own. So their return is framed as an intervention, a forced course correction to put Earth back on a sustainable path, but with them in charge.
So, after weighing millennia of history and superstition against this incredibly radical theory, we're left with one final and frankly chilling thought. The question is no longer if they're coming.
The question is, are we ready?